How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. We're going to have a little talk here, folks. This is why this channel exists. We're now getting to that place, a very dangerous place. And I don't like to be hyperbolic. I don't like to use fear tactics. But what we're going to discuss, while it seems very, very, very small, is incredibly important and marks a dangerous point in our travels into SHTFville, Shitville, Zombieville, tyranny. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about it, folks. And a lot of people are talking about this, and I want to talk about it as usual in ways unlike others. There has been a trigger warning added to the United States Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and Bill of Rights on the National Archives website. They have labeled these documents as having harmful language. Right? They have this nice little disclaimer. Lauren Boebert, representative, Republican out of the great state of Colorado, she tweeted out this information and said, "We tried to tell you that the left wanted to get rid of it," meaning the Constitution. We have been talking about how they want to get rid of the Constitution. It is an obstacle, especially the First Amendment, especially the Second Amendment. They've crippled, hobbled, and handcuffed the Fourth and Fifth. They've denied the 10th even exists, not to mention all the other damage the government is doing. Now, don't think of the government as us. It no longer represents us. Washington, D.C. is its own independent corporate body called the United States. And it acts as the administrative and law enforcement government, and it's overstepping its bounds. That's where we've been at for a while, and we've been talking about that. But we have this thing called the U.S. Constitution, or the Constitution of these United States, signed by we the people. Now, this is what the National Archives says. As part of the National Archives' institutional commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, it is now flagging potentially harmful content, which is defined as reflecting racist, sexist, ableist, misogynistic, misogynoir, that's fear of blacks, I guess, or fear of darkness, or fear of color, and xenophobic opinions and attitudes, or being discriminatory towards or exclude diverse groups on sexuality, gender, religion, and more. Are you fucking kidding me? No, they're not, folks. They're not. The First Amendment provides for the free practice of religion, right? Religious freedom. That actually caused the very first people to seek out the Americas. The Pilgrims, the Puritans, who themselves were not perfect. They certainly wanted some freedom from religious persecution. First Amendment, you can practice however you want. Now, if the Democrats and these bunch of woke assholes were so concerned about religious persecution and someone ramming religion down other people's throats, maybe they should go talk to Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris and 90 Proof Nancy and Chuck Schumer in Washington, because they, along with Lloyd Austin, the dipshit, and the JCS, Joint Chiefs of Staff, just handed an entire nation, as well as, 500 to several thousand Americans, we don't know, handed them over to a theocratic institution, along with $85 billion in equipment, so they can religiously persecute those people. Having a piece of paper that is a historical and legal document kept very safe in the National Archives is not forcing and hurting anybody. But that's what these people think. The Constitution is hurting people. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, meanwhile, in China, people are getting hurt. But these fuckwads, they don't care about that, because that is a lie. It is an excuse that they employ. It is an act of sophistry on their part. They are disillusioned, disingenuous, and dishonest. And this is what they're doing to us. They want to label our most sacred, secular documents. That means non-religious. Secular documents. And they are sacred because they have been endowed with, they have been imbued with, embedded with sacred principles of freedom that are found in our even more ancient religious documents. In other words, freedom. Freedom. And they want to find offense in them. And so they change the meaning of words, and they find things that don't exist. Kind of like they found, abortion. It's right there in the Constitution. Can't you see it? Roe v. Wade. So they want to make our founding documents, they want to lock them in a cage, declare that we need a safe space from them. It is insane, folks. It is literally insane, because let me see if we can put it this way. They need to divide us. They need to dehumanize us, and then they can destroy us. And that's the path. Very simply broke down into three major chunks. They've done it to us, the people. They've done it to me, white, male, right? 50-year-old, old guy, white male, divided me from everyone else. I'm the problem. Just like you, more than likely, have been divided away from everyone else because you're the problem, right? You're a conservative woman. How dare you support Trump or any Republican man? You're bad, right? And if you're a younger man or a younger one, they find a reason to divide all of us off. Well, if you're a black woman, you think you have it made. Sorry. If you're not politically correct, you too are a problem. You become the blackface of white supremacy, and you become the female blackface of white male misogyny. If you dare stand up and say, you know, everyone has rights, and you can't just do that to people. You can't treat men that way, just like you can't treat women that way. No, so you're a bad person right there. Folks, they divide the Constitution up. Now they take the laws they like, and they take the laws they don't like, and they divide them. And here's the laws they don't like. They don't like the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, and certainly they hate the fucking Declaration of Independence. But they go, we don't need those. We have all of our statutes and our rules. We don't need these ridiculous little constitutional things and some kind of declaration of what our rights are. We don't need that to live. We have this. All of these great rules coming from Nancy and Joe Biden's executive orders and Governor Brown and Governor Newsom and Governor Pritzker and Governor Whitmore and Governor, Cumho's replacement. We've got all of those rules. We don't need no stupid constitution. We don't need no stinking budges, right? We don't need that. So they've divided it off. Then we're now at the demonize these as having harmful language. They're misogynistic. They're racist. Now they've turned our foundational documents into a source of evil. They've been doing it, folks, destroying statues, attacking our institutions, our traditions, our culture, who we are and why we came here. They want to wipe away the history, dehumanize it. The next step, you know all too well, destroy. It's just a piece of paper. We don't need that shit. We don't need no stupid piece of paper. Well, that piece of paper, folks, tells government, you fucked up. Those pieces of paper say, government, you don't have any power or authority without us. Those pieces of paper say the people are protected from you, government. They've divided it apart. We don't need it. It's wrong. It's bad paper. Let's just burn it. Folks, 20 years ago, Walt Disney, the Disney movie company, made a movie called National Treasure. It's a great movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Now, the historic, priceless treasure, the Declaration of Independence, is itself an evil trigger document, right? Now, triggering, folks, is a form of violence itself just for existing. Triggering, right? That's what these leftists do. They go, ooh, what you said hurt me. It triggered fear, and it triggered a negative response. They're such fucking pussies. Really, they're pussies. I listen to rap music, and when I hear the bad N-word and other bad words, I don't get triggered and fearful and upset and want to cry. I'm like, well, okay, that's what they say. You know, bump, bump, bump. There's some music. Okay. That's their thing, right? The other music people, that's whatever. I'm not triggered by it, but I'm like, ooh, you know, that was interesting. But triggering to them, to these leftists, it's a whole different experience. They get to claim it's an act of violence. To trigger them is an act of violence because their emotions are every bit as real as their flesh. And so to damage their emotion, to inflict harm, to trigger them, it's an act of violence, and they have a right to respond. They have a right to self-defense. Not you, of course, not you. Otherwise, I would say, look, you bunch of fucking fruitcakes. Every last one of you has triggered me. 99%. I'm almost dead. That's how much you've triggered me. I feel like I'm about to die. Therefore, I need to use the most effective form of self-defense. You know, it's bullshit. What they have is bullshit. But they're using that bullshit, folks. They're loading bullshit into cannons. And that's why they say, you know, we need to take action. It's an act of violence to trigger us. And that their Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights contains harmful language. It's doing harm, right? The harm contained in the Declaration of Independence is the harm visited upon the American people by the government and its agents and its officials, right? The Declaration of Independence described real harm that was being done by King George, his governors, his soldiers, right? The harm included, but is not limited to, harassment, theft, arson, taxation, and destruction of businesses and the lives of families. The harm included the direct and violent violation of the people's rights, their lives, including false imprisonment, fake trials, executions, rape, murder, and all in the name of the king, his governors, his army, and his will to destroy Americans. The Constitution, and more specifically the Bill of Rights, was written to ensure those harms, folks, that harmful behavior was to never be visited upon a free people again. Sadly, today, those same harmful actions laid out in the Declaration of Independence and prohibited by the Bill of Rights are being reinstituted amongst the various governmental institutions of the legislative and executives and ignored by the judicial. And it's working its evil and twisted way into our law enforcement institutions, all to the detriment and harm of we, the people. Real harm. Where are these triggered fools over businesses destroyed? That's something real. Where are these triggered fools concerning the January 6th protesters who are being held in prison, the Bastille, under terrible conditions for walking on a floor, having committed no act of violence, the mere simple act of trespass on public property? It's not the king's property, folks, nor is it Queen Nancy's property. She is merely a custodian. That is a caretaker. That's what custodian means. Caretaker. She is supposed to be the custodian to make sure that the building is cared for, not the fucking queen. But these harmful actions written about in the Declaration of Independence are being visited upon us, the people, by our own government, folks. And the government, the National Archives, government employees are afraid of offending soft-minded, liberal, leftist socialists. Folks, if anyone has been harmed, if anyone has been offended, it is us. We, the people, the patriots, real Americans, and we have rights. Now, having proclaimed that loudly, authoritatively, with deep, heartfelt sincerity, I do not hear Joe Biden apologizing, nor any government agent, official, employee, or spokesman. They're not apologizing. I'm still listening. They're not announcing a surrender in the United States to the people and give us our country back. They're not surrendering here. They'll surrender in Afghanistan, but not here. You need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Right up here, folks. Understand, folks. These people are triggered. Government's very concerned about these disgusting documents, and they're going to need to get rid of them. They're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They're going to throw all of us out, folks, into the dung heap of history if we let them get away with it. Take action. Prep to action. Understand what their plan is. Divide, dehumanize, destroy. Understand their progress, how they do things, folks. They create a problem. They get the reaction they want, and then they offer their solution. Problem, reaction, solution. Common expression used to describe Hegelian dialect. Oh my God, this Declaration of Independence is a problem. It's scaring people. It's hurting people's feelings. Same with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. The reaction, right? People are like, oh my God, I should be scared. What a terrible document. I read it myself. Woo! That's describing government. It's not saying what the government should do. It's just saying what the government shouldn't do. So they're saying that's harmful? Stopping the government from fucking everyone over and destroying our lives? Well, okay, then we just better give the solution, which is to get rid of the damn thing. It's just a piece of paper. Piece of paper is written in our minds, in our hearts, and it's part of the soul of America. Get prepared. You know what's right, folks. Semper Fi. Always faithful. We, the people, we need to remember who we are. We, the people, need to realize there's nobody coming to save us except ourselves. Our faith, knowing who we are, knowing the difference between right and wrong, knowing the difference between good and evil, knowing the difference between action and inaction. At some point, you have to take action because inaction allows tyrants to cause real harm. I'm not inciting violence. I'm not promoting or glorifying or glamorizing it, nor anything harmful or dangerous. What they are doing, the government, the leftists, what they are promoting is harmful and is dangerous and will cause violence. The removal of our sacred documents, which limit government, the removal of the provisions, removal of the history will allow government to say, hey, we didn't know. There's nothing stopping us. We can do whatever we want and commit whatever harmful, dangerous, destructive acts, as if they already don't have enough power and authority to do that. Once again, get prepared. Be sure and subscribe to the Prepared Mind channel. Come over to Patreon if you can. It's only $2 a month, 7 cents a day, to help support this message and other messages like it, to document what's going on, to help you understand so you can be prepared. It is critical, folks. We're getting to the wire. Is it going to take another year or two? Or is it going to just take another month or two? I don't know. What I do know is this is serious business. Labeling our precious Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence as harmful. It is insanity. To label it as dangerous is flirting with disaster. Disaster of epic proportions. And I would submit to you that epic is going to be a common byword when describing what's happening. Godspeed to you all. Semper Fi.